Hello, Tashtile everybody. Tashtile and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the fourth session of our weekly virtual teachings by Venerable Geshe Lhakdor, and Geshe Lhakdor draws on Acharya Nagarjuna's A Letter to a Friend. And now let us begin this session by expressing our big thanks to Geshe Lhakdor for his teachings and for this precious opportunity. And as always, we'll start with the prayers. Thank you so much.
Dans la major benji, Shabby Pemo, Laduching, Pombakun, Dozem, Doma Yum La Chance Lo, Omdare, Dudare Dureso, Omdare, Dudare Dureso, Omdare, Dudare Dureso. Omdare Dudare Dureso, Omdare Dudare Dureso, Omdare Dudare Dureso, Omdare Dudare Dureso. Omdare Dudare Dureso, Omdare Dudare Dureso, Omdare Dudare Dureso, Omdare Dudare Dureso, Omdare Dudare Dureso. Dare do dare dure so 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 ha gewa de nyurdo da phama drama tugyun Rowa Chigyama Lubati Salang Gubarasho. Hello, everybody. Very nice to talk to you again with this precious human life. Even to be able to live for another day or another hour is a rare opportunity. Normally we say, or we aspire to live a long life. But we do have a long life actually. The problem is we waste it. So therefore, there are intelligent people who are suggesting that you should now try to live not just long, but also live wider. That means more expensive, reaching out, beneficial. Especially in today's world, there are so many objects of distraction that we get completely carried away, distracted. So in order to bring meaningful fruit to this precious human life, we need to make good choices. For example, we can easily reflect back and see what have you achieved during the last 5 or 10 years, how you spent your life, what did you get. Yes, I know that we all have been having fun here and there, a little bit suffering here and there, but what I'm asking is, in terms of extracting the meaning of human life, did we achieve anything over which you can say, this is something I've done good, I'm happy, I'm satisfied? So if you have done that, then rejoice. If not, then it is important to make a decision from today onwards to not to waste your time. I'm not saying don't enjoy life, of course. And in fact, spiritual practice is also, in fact, actually the spiritual practice is the best way of enjoying life. But when the people hear about enjoying life, they think about something else, as we have been discussing, the real coming home is coming back to one's own mind. Real peace and happiness is found within oneself. When one changes one's mental perspective and lives in accordance with the law of nature, in accordance with the reality. When you get rid of living a life of duplicity, then you will find yourself as something holistic, harmonious, and meaningful. So the choice is in our hand. Buddha cannot do anything with that. Choice is in our hand, right? Today, so many people all over the world are suffering because we always make bad choices. And then unfortunately, we also get many, many stupid leaders, who are supposed to be the examples. They show the wrong path. They create unhappiness in the mind of the people. So during such time, you need to personally, whatever be the situation, however turbulent the situation may be, you need to have certain anchor, to hold on to. So that anchor is your personal integrity. Okay. And you need to think you are your own leader. The rest of the so-called leaders that you choose or you may not choose, they may do things properly, not do things properly, but that is not under your control. Try your best. That's not under your control, but you should be under your control. And your mind should become your boss. Your mind should, number one, you should make your mind a compassionate, insightful mind, a mind with wisdom, a mind with farsightedness, right? And then let this mind become your leader. And if you're able to elect such a leader, and make that leader stay in the headquarters of your brain or your mind. Wherever you go, you have that wonderful leader with you, which is elected only by you, not other people. Okay? So therefore, not to cheat oneself and to take care of oneself through such process of transformation of the mind is the only solution at the end of the day. Because the rest, the external things, the friends, the possessions, the name and fame and everything that is outside of you, many of them are not to your taste, create a lot of problem. Then there are many who are your good friend, possession also may be very useful, but still you need to let all of this go and they will also leave you. That is not surprising. It's nothing but the law of nature, right? So the only thing that is certain is change. Change. Everything is changing. Everything changing. In ancient Greek philosophy, they explain the change with the example of fire. When you see the fire burning, and the flames coming up and sparks rising and disappearing, this all shows change. Then Buddha gave the example of the water, where he said you cannot step into the same water again, right? So then in ancient Greek philosophy, there's a wonderful example of change. The example is a boat, which you take to cross the water or sea. Then when you have used that boat for a number of years, then naturally it gets worn out. Then you need to change the planks, whichever is getting decayed, you need to change it. Then the question arises, is the same boat or different boat, new boat? So over time, you've changed almost everything of that. So it's basically a new boat, So that change you can see, right? So in Buddhism, we say there is a grosser change that we can see, like collapsing of a house or death of a friend, which you can see with your eye. That's a grosser level of impermanence. Then this grosser level of impermanence or change happens because underneath a subtle impermanence is working, changing, right? So our cells and everything is changing so rapidly, beyond recognition. So therefore, with this, imperceptible, quick successive change, what is it that we can call I? So that is how it is explained in Western philosophy. Coming to the same point as is explained in Buddhism, at the end of the day, when you look carefully, then it's just the so-called I is a stream, a succession of many things to give a designation, but there's nothing that is enduring or everlasting. So it is in this context we talk about not only impermanence, but also shunyata or emptiness, things like that, right? So therefore, what I'm trying to say is, if you are really longing or looking for more reliable, long-lasting peace and happiness, then the only source is within yourself, not outside. That is 100% sure, 100% sure. And you should change your attitude or transform your mind in such a way that whatever calamity, tragedy befalls, you should be able to remain unshaken, or at least less perturbed, because you will be able to accept, yes, this is law of nature. That's the benefit. And then once you understand this flux, this continuous change, that should also help you release your tight grasping to things, especially material objects, right? So therefore, in the next, after having read about the need to practice the 10 virtuous practices and shun the 10 non-virtuous activities, then that verse also has two lines which spoke about, stopping not to take intoxicant drinks, and leading a proper life, using proper livelihood. I think we finished there, right? So the next verse is basically asking you to, if you want that peace in the form of nirvana or enlightenment, then one of the main hindrance and obstruction is attachment in general, and especially attachment to things, to enjoyments, right? So therefore, the next verse is talking about practicing generosity or giving without getting attached to the excels, of the samsara. Okay, the good-looking things that we see in the samsara, everywhere, nice boy, nice girl, nice car, nice house, attractive things are all like very, very hollow, very superficial. There's no real meaning or essence in it. You can imagine them as like almost like a toy for the kids to play, right? So therefore, the next verse says, recognizing wealth to be ephemeral and insubstantial, exert yourself properly in liberal acts towards bhikshus, brahmans, the poor and friends. For the future, there is no better friend than liberality, which means no better friend than giving, practice of giving. So recognizing, he's asking the king that you should know, you should recognize that wealth is ephemeral, it's fluctuating. For example, in today's modern, way of the economic system, you put money in the bank, then how much fluctuation is there. Now interest is very high, now interest is just coming down. Then sometimes you say, oh, the whole business collapsed and all your money is gone. You see, so in a way, the modern findings, I was really thinking about it, and I was thinking, yes, in a way, the modern economic system is based on greed and all those things. But at the same time, it is here and they are showing the Dharma. Buddhism is talking about impermanence, and there's so many clear examples of impermanence in today's hectic world, right? And then the fluctuation or the ephemeral, transitory nature of things. You can see 100,000 things you buy from the market, nicely wrapped in a plastic bag, all those packaged foods, If you really think, the outside is really like beautiful. The package is nice because these people, they know that you're interested in the package, not so much what is there. We have no time who is who. We suddenly quickly want to see the best boy and the girl and get married. No time to see whether she is reliable or he is good or things like that. Then later on you face problem, then you say divorce and things like that. You see, really. Unfortunately, many of the things that you buy in the market, they look so nice outside, but inside, especially many of the online sales these days, many of them are fraud. They will not even send you the thing that you want. Yeah, especially if you bought it with COD, cash on delivery. Then they will never send that to you because they didn't get the cash. But if you make an advance payment, they will never send you the thing. So there are many, fraud so-called companies that none existed. They're only, uh, fooling you. And then there are some who do send the stuff, but when it was advertised, it looks so good, But when you actually get, it's just peanut, Really. So there's so much, unhealthy system practice going on. So unless, therefore, in this such a situation, such a volatile situation, unless you have that capacity to judge and not to be fooled and carried away by the advertisements, seemingly attractive advertisements. You can be easily cheated out. Your money can be taken out from your bank account. I know many cases, but okay, I don't want to waste your time. So all this shows the need to be mindful, right? So therefore, knowing that wealth to be ephemeral because there's nothing that will last forever, of course. In addition to that, it can be destroyed by flood, by fire, taken by thieves and robbers, and eaten by moths. Many of us know that we buy so many things out of greed and then we never use it. We're always busy running here and there. And for months on and years on, we don't see what stuffs we have, we forget. And then on a leisure day, when we try to explore all this, you will find many of them have already been eaten by moths or chewed by rats and things like that. I'm sure you have that experience. I have that experience. So ephemeral, not much use. With so much, money and greed, you have accumulated that, but of no use. Okay. So if you just don't use it, don't just accumulate and hold on to it, no use at all. So therefore, make it meaningful. Either you yourself using that properly, and if you have anything which you are not using, just give it to others. There are many who don't have those things which we don't use. In fact, there are many who are dying to have that, which you are not using it. So give it. Now is time to give. Practice of giving is done when you can't decide, when you are alive. And when you die, then at that time, helplessly, if you say, oh, everything is now yours, what else you will do? Right? So therefore, they are ephemeral. They are ephemeral. And they've no essence. No essence in the sense, however much you hoard and accumulate, they will never, just by hoarding and accumulating things, you will never get that deep satisfaction. In fact, in the long run, they will give you headache. In the initial stage, at least on the first day, you might get, oh, now I got the new refrigerator, new TV, maybe 2-3 days, right? Then every month you have to pay the bill, and then the desired shows that you want to watch, it's not there on the day you want to watch. So many problems. So having no essence means that you will never be satisfied by this. And you will not get happiness without satisfaction. Happiness means satisfaction, genuine satisfaction. So genuine satisfaction will come from within oneself with the realization of having done something meaningful, not just accumulating the external material objects. So know the nature of these possessions. And with that knowledge, exert yourself properly in liberal act. Exert yourself. Exert yourself. Or properly engage in giving. Depends translation. Some of the translation they say exert yourself. Some translation they say properly engage in giving. Properly engage in giving basically means you should practice now. Whatever you have, you offer it to the bhikshus or Brahmins. Bhikshus and Brahmins basically means people who have higher qualities, okay, in the genuine sense of the term. And who has that genuine quality, you need to know. Okay, you need to know. Again, you need to use your kopri, discriminatory awareness. Because these days, there are many people who pose that they have higher qualities. Whenever you see a monk, oh, he must be very good. No, there's so many like shameful monks who don't even have the decency of a very ordinary person, you know. So when you practice Dharma, don't just do things sheepishly. Use your brain and mind. And even if it is something not necessarily monk, but lay people who are really like doing, you know, socially benefiting activities, need support. These are the people you must support, but not otherwise, because they will squander the money that you give or whatever. So, and then poor and friends. Poor and friends means friends again, relatives and so forth who have been kind to you. And then poor means those people who are needy, who are deprived of the needed material facilities. So one, practice giving to the higher ones, one to the lower ones, or people who are kind to you. Then also like sick people, right? These days there are many poor people, sick people who have nobody to look after them. And when we help them, they express so much satisfaction, right? So much satisfaction. And friends, because in the long run, for the future, there's no better friend than the practice of giving. See, by practice of giving, the fruit that you will earn in the future life is your friend. That's why we say Dharma is your friend, especially for people who are traveling to an unknown path and unknown place. For them, Dharma practice is the friend. And in that journey for future life, Dharma is your sustenance. Dharma is your clothes. Dharma is your food. Dharma is your friend. Meaning that whatever good things you have done and the good imprints that you have left on your mind, that will come with you wherever you go. That will help you. So therefore, in Buddhism, we talk about external tutor and internal tutor. External tutor or teacher is the person who is teaching you from outside. The internal tutor is your internal qualities like loving kindness, compassion, and so forth. These are your internal teachers. And in fact, these are unfailing friends. Unfailing friends. There's another important reason that we should do Dharma practice, or at least the practice of mental transformation, because that kind of mental capacity and quality will be there with you in all situations, ups and downs. The others, not so sure. Called friends, when your purse is jingling with money, they will be there, as His Holiness aptly says. But when you are in big trouble, people normally when you are okay, having fun and everything, they will be surrounded by smiling friends. Let us go to restaurant, let us go to food, let us do this, do that. So many friends. When you are ill and sick and need help, even if you call somebody, the answer is nobody will pick up, or they will give a very abrupt answer. You see, I mean, it's not easy for everybody to shoulder responsibility. You see, because there is no genuine love. There's a genuine love, genuine affection. Then that friend will always be there in times of trouble and so forth. So, but we should not wait for that. Anything can happen in our life. So we should at least help ourselves with the right mental attitude. That's important. So therefore, practice of giving and so forth, these are your friends in the future. That's what the text is saying. And because if you just practice giving and no morality, then probably next time you may be born born as a human being or a god with a lot of wealth, but it may not last very long, right? So in order to not only to have wealth, but to make that wealth useful and last long. Practice of morality is very important. And especially to ensure the fruit of your practice of giving is not lost, practice of morality is very important. So therefore, the next verse is about morality. And in fact, when we talk about the path to liberation, the main path is the practice of morality. You should practice a morality unbroken, not debased, undefiled, untainted, uncorrupted. Morality was declared the foundation of all the virtues. Okay? All the virtues, just as the earth is for things moving and unmoving. We did discuss this earlier also, but morality is number one foundation of all qualities, just like the ground on which we can do construction and which we can stand and things like that. So that means morality in Sanskrit is called shil. Shil or shitalta means cool. That means when you practice morality, you're basically, restraining doing negative things, practicing virtuous qualities, and helping others. So if you are leading a life of morality with these three practices, you have nothing to regret, nothing to repent. Therefore, your mind is cool. There's the meaning, right? Your mind is cool. When your mind is cool, then you can concentrate, of course. Then you can cultivate the discriminative awareness or wisdom. If your mind is disturbed, the other day I was reading another phrase or something. There was a very nice phrase where it says, when the water is boiling, if you try to see your face clearly in the water which is boiling, you will not be able to see your face. So similarly, like the water boiling, when your mind is boiling with anger and other negative emotions, you can't see the reality. Your mind is not calm. So it's only when your mind is calm, then you can concentrate, then you can develop wisdom and in all the rest of the qualities. So therefore, morality has been compared as the ground. So therefore, there are many types of morality. Morality of upasika or upvas or patimoksha or bodhisattva vows or tantric vows. There are so many moral practices that you do. So in all these cases, whatever moral practices you have vowed to practice, you should practice a morality unbroken. That basically means all the parts of the practice. If you have not violated any of the parts of the practice, then it's an unbroken morality. Everything is intact. Intact. Not debased means out of all this majority of them are intact. Okay? Then it's not debased. There may be some violations, but the majority of your practice is still intact. And then unmixed or undefiled or unmixed. That means whatever moral practice you're doing, it should not be mixed with the wrong motivation for worldly concerns and things like that. Right? In other words, when you practice morality, it should be practiced in such a way that whatever virtuous practices you do, it becomes an counterforce, an antidote to all types of negative emotions. So therefore, it is not defiled or not mixed. And it is untainted because your motivation of that practice is to actualize nirvana and liberation for yourself, not for worldly gains. So therefore, it is not untainted or not tainted or not corrupted, meaning the same thing. Okay. So you should practice a morality unbroken, not debased, undefiled, untainted, or uncorrupted. Morality was declared the foundation of all virtue, just as the earth is for all things moving and unmoving. Clear. The Tibetan word for morality is chultem, which means proper way of life. A proper way of life is that life where you do not harm others, physically, verbally, mentally. Use this amazing human body. The more I think about human body, I'm really like marveled, Yes, it is impermanent, it's fragile, but still, I mean, the capacity to do things with your like hand and the capacity to smile and capacity to use that sophisticated language and capacity to express through your eye, it's really amazing. So let us use these amazing features of the body to create delight and happiness in the mind of others, not to frighten them, not to frighten them. Because if you look at the basic structure of the body, you don't have a horn on your head, right? You don't have, a mouth that is bearing fangs or terrifying bloodshot eye. You don't have that. It is basically there. So if you give a little bit more force and shape it, and then the great smile on your face and the show gentle gesture, there are so many opportunities to help other people. And when we talk about helping other people, it don't think that it has to be something big, So many 100,000 things, ways to help other people and make them happy. Because they feel happy, There's somebody, I never met this person before, but he was so kind. He helped me, she helped me. I have that experience, You don't lose anything, you gain. You gain smile from that person. You get thank you from that person. You see? There's a story of somebody. This reminded me a story that I read yesterday. That there was an old man, 80 years old, working very hard in the field, planting dead trees, And then the king was, going around and saw this old man, 80 years old, planting the dead tree. And he said, "What are you doing?" "I'm planting this dead tree." "Then how long it will take?" "Oh, it will take many, many years. Many years." Then the king said, "Why you're not going to live so many years? Why you're wasting your time?" And then the answer he gave is amazing. He said, number one, the fruits that I'm eating today from different trees are planted by people before me. So I'm doing the same thing so that the future generation can enjoy it. And to this answer, the king was very pleased and he gave a gold coin. And then this old man said, "Yeah, but honestly speaking, you don't have to wait for the fruit many, many generations. I got the fruit now." See, it's really, amazing story. But don't expect fruit. It will come. Why? Because in Buddhism, we say law of karma, but in simpler language, it is law of nature. It's very interesting how it functions. I don't know. It's law of nature. What you give, you will get back. Either through a smile or through a helping hand, or somebody just by a small, help will become your constant, reliable friend. Don't expect, don't do anything with that motivation. Then it's wrong. But you will get the same, whether you expect or not expect. You do the right thing, it will come. It will be there. So we need to have that trust, you see. Some kind of trusting faith must be there in many of these things. Like the chantings we were doing right in the beginning, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, then Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soa. In all this, you need to have faith. And there are many stories of people who had faith and did this chanting, and then many of them got cured of their illnesses, and many of them, were saved from robbery and things. There are many stories like that because they have genuine faith. But we just do because others are doing, half-hearted attempt, so we don't get much. So in all these practices, whether it's chanting mantra or it's reading a text, do it with proper motivation, effectively, then with dedication and things like that. Okay, that's important. So that's morality. Then next is uh, I think is about the path related to the great individual. So the next verse is talking about uh, all the six perfections: liberality or generosity, morality, patience, effort, meditation, and likewise wisdom. These are the six perfections. Develop these immeasurable paramitas or perfections, and having crossed the sea of existence, become the Lord of victors. Develop these immeasurable paramitas. Now, when you undertake all this practice of all the six perfections, first is giving, which we already discussed. So it's giving whatever you possess. And then morality is abandoning non-virtuous activities. And then patience is having the capacity to bear hardships when you do spiritual practice. And then unbounded meditation, primarily towards virtuous practices and towards helping others. And then wisdom, which sees things as they are. So these are not the objects of focus of Sarvakas and Patika Buddhas. They are the subjects of practice of Bodhisattvas. Therefore, they are called immeasurable. They cannot be, these qualities cannot be measured by others who do not follow the Mahayana path, by the Sarvakas and Patika Buddhas. Okay? And then these are called, having crossed the sea of paramitas, perfections, practice that takes you, to the state beyond samsara, paramitas, the gone beyond practice. The gone beyond practice means when you undertake this practice of the six perfections, you should do this practice without seeing any of this practice as having inherent independent existence. Giving is good, but if you look closely at the practice of giving, then at that time you should think, you, the giver, has no independent existence. The gift that you are giving also has no independent existence. The person to whom you are giving also has no independent existence. So this is known as the three spheres of duality. This influence of the wisdom understanding, shunyata, that they become a path that would help you transcend suffering or transcend samsara, lead to nirvana. Because the root of samsara is ignorance, misconception of reality. That misconception of reality can be eradicated only by a wisdom that sees things as having no inherent independent existence. So therefore, it is through this practice of the wisdom that you can, transcend samsara. You can actualize nirvana. So therefore, they are called paramitas. Okay, I'm not going to explain in detail about all the six perfections because otherwise we'll be stuck here forever. Okay, you can read, and I think we've discussed this earlier also. So basically, this when we talk about the practice of 6 perfections, we are talking about the practice of method and wisdom. The first 5 is included in the practice of the method, and the last one, wisdom, of course, comes in the practice of wisdom. So it is through this twin practice of method and wisdom that you finally actualize the 2 bodies of the Buddha, the wisdom body and the form body, Dharmakaya and Rupakaya, the form body and the truth body or wisdom body. Okay, so wisdom body is actualized through the wisdom understanding shunyata, and the form body is actualized through the practice of the first 5 perfections. Okay. Then he's going to explain this whole thing in a little bit more elaborate way. So again, he's going to explain, first of all, a little bit about the path that is common to the small individual. Okay. So here he talks about 16 practices as path to common to small individual. So therefore, any family revering father and family, I don't know why you use this word, anyone revering father and mother will be by Brahma and religious teachers. Its members will be renowned for venerating them and later enter the higher states. So that means to if you use the word to family means here means lineage. Okay, any type of people, any group of people, any family of people, who respect father and mother, that person will be blessed by Brahma and higher beings. That's the meaning. Will be blessed by Brahma and higher beings. And that person will also be blessed by the Lama. So that's the meaning, that that person will have the Brahma, that person will have the teacher. That's the meaning, that they will be blessed by these higher beings. Not only that, in this very life, you will become famous. People will talk highly about you, that this young lady, this young man, has so much respect, served their parents so much, things like that. And then when you die, go to the next world, you will again achieve higher status, life of human being or a god and so forth. So therefore, people who lead a household life or who remain in a family, they must learn to respect their parents, right? Because if you think carefully, even in ordinary terms, how much the parents, especially the mother, has taken care of you, carried you for 9 months in the womb, how much problem there, Then after birth, how many years I'm saying. You are born almost like an insect, completely incapable of looking after yourself. We are not like animals. Animal babies, I've seen many animal babies, just a short while after the birth, they stagger and then get up and go. Human babies, they, as I said earlier, just to lift the head takes 6 months, then to be able to walk. So many years, day and night, the parents, especially the mother, right? Then your education, your food, how much, concern and worry they have endured, so many things. It's a common sense thing. So with that, remember their kindness and help them in their old age or when they are sick, things like that. So this tradition must be preserved. I don't think this is an Asian tradition. In many so-called developed countries, this wonderful tradition is not there. People act almost like the babies of a crow, whenever they're able to fly, they fly, never looking back again. Right? So this is not good. This is not good because we need to look after all sentient beings. And then, of course, those parents who you are directly related, who have been so kind to you. So all this, all these wonderful things are possible if you think about everything in a positive way. If you think in negative way, there's again no end to negative things. But if you do that, what you will get is misery, suffering, problem, unhappiness to you, to your parents, to everybody, to the society, Just a couple of years back, I think maybe 2018 or something, when I was teaching in Mumbai, came out in an, circular, a young guy who was so angry towards his parents, saying that it's all the fault of my parents who gave birth to me. Otherwise, I would not have to suffer like this, so I hate them, things like that. You see, this is the negative way of seeing things, right? So if you think negatively, I mean, imagine if everybody becomes selfish, nobody cares about each other, you see. But if you, let me tell you another story, small story. There was a very famous master. So somebody had heard about this great master, but he was staying very far away. So this guy who wanted to see the master made a lot of effort to reach there, and finally he reached there. When he reached the hermit of that famous saint, he was this searcher, this seeker. He was very tired, and then he just very angrily, banged the door, opened the door angrily, and then once inside, he untied his lace and threw his boots in the corner, angrily, and then he went to the saint and paid respect. And then this saint, he said, he did not accept the respect. He said, first you ask for forgiveness to the door and the shoes. And then the reason is that master said, this may look silly, but if you behave in this way to anything, material, immaterial, you're only creating unhappiness in your mind and disturbing other people also, you see. So it's not just human beings, but with everybody. It should be gentle, because it's not only human being. There's so many, big and small, imperceptible insects and flies and everywhere, So our way of life should be such that we create least disturbance to them, even if you're unable to help them. Least disturbance, right? So that's what he's saying. So it's members will be renowned for venerating them and later enter the higher states. Then talk about this. Just to the coming of Jungabi. Okay, some questions.
So, thank you so much, Kishla. Now we'll open question. We have Joshua Malton. I've sent you an unmute request. Yep.
Tashidele Geshe Kukamsang. My question is related to the stanza number 8, the 8th verse. So in the last line, reach the further shore of ocean of existence or samsara. Is this related with
Nirvana?
So is it related with this the Heart Sutra mantra, Gate Gate Para Gate Para Gate Bodhiswaha, going beyond?
Yes.
So it's the main
Gati, Pargati, Parsamgati, Bodhiswaha. So gradually you travel from one path to another, all the 4 paths, and then finally gati gati par sam gati buddhi soha. Establish yourself in enlightenment, right? So the same here is primarily talking about achieving, going beyond the samsara and achieving nirvana. But in the Heart Sutra, the aim is not just nirvana, but enlightenment. Yeah.
Okay, next we have Shahili. Shahili, I sent you unmute request. You have to accept it. Yeah.
Thank you, Nasim. Hi, Geshila. I have two things. One is question and another is a request. And the question is, I forget one thing you taught last day in your last teaching. So I just want to ask it again. Like regarding morality practice, you said two things. Like one is about sense of shame, and another is consideration for others. I forget how it is related with the sense of shame. I took a note, but I forgot what you told. Now I can't remember. That's why I'm asking it again.
Taking yourself as the example, that I am an Indian, I can't do like this. I'm a monk, I can't do like this. I have done PhD, so I can't do this. Things like that. Taking yourself as a reason, and then maintaining that integrity or not doing negative things. There is practice of sense of shame.
Okay.
Okay.
And another, thank you. I forgot, sorry.
Yeah.
And another thing is, in your second and third class, you mentioned actually, there is teaching on giving, like whom to give and how to give. I'm requesting that if time permits, if you give some certain teaching on that also, because I need to know more about it. It's a request.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I basically, so you can spend a little bit more time. And if you have that text on the great stages of the path, Lamrim Chemo, the English version, then you can read it. It's a more detailed explanation of the practice of giving there. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it. That was my two things.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Shahili. Natasha.
Yes, thank you very much, Geshe. We have two questions. The first one is from Dinara. How to find the source of stability and joy inside ourselves if our body is impermanent, our mind is impermanent, and the world around us is impermanent?
Yeah, impermanent doesn't mean only death and decay. That you need to understand. Many people misunderstand this. When they say impermanent, they primarily think about death and decay. No. It simply means change. Change can be to the bad side. Change can be worse, and change can be good, towards good side also. So it is in fact wonderful that things are changing. You can change it. So there are two ways of changing. One is whether you do anything or not do anything, things will change. Okay, you don't do anything, sit down, time will pass, clock will tick, and gradually you will die. That's the natural process. But within that, you can make an effort and bring about changes also. So therefore, you have this capacity to become better, to become happier, to become more joyful, right? So therefore, it doesn't matter, as earlier I had given you an example of a flower, A flower, but beautiful flower may not last very long, maybe 2-3 days. But when the flower blossoms, it gives joy and happiness to many people. Right? In fact, there is a conflict. There's a story of a, debate, or in fact, almost like conflict between the flower and the thorns. And the thorn said, mockingly told the flower, "Ah, you flower, you're so tender, you're so fragile. With a slight blow of wind or fall of rain, you just wither and fall. Look at me, thorn. Look at me, the thorn. Weather after weather, year after year, I stand tall. you know. And then the flower answered by saying, yes, I may appear ephemeral, I may look, fragile and tender, but as long as I live, I give peace and happiness to other people. Yes, you are right. You lived for many seasons and many years, but all you gave is pricking other people, hurting other people. So this is important because that's what I said right at the beginning. Many people think it's only if I live long, my life becomes meaningful. No, not just by living long, but living properly. Each minute, every day you can make each day meaningful, each hour meaningful. And then when you live such a meaningful life, then when you die also nothing to regret. You die peacefully because you are sure that all the good imprints are there with me as my constant friend and companion to go to the next world or whatever, Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from Anton. If someone hints to me that he wants, that he likes something which I possess, will it be correct to give him this thing?
Of course, provided if you don't need it. No, but I mean, don't need is not the right way. But one, if it is not so important for you, okay, and you can give, then give it. The two things. One, it may be very important for you, but you really wanted to practice that giving, and you will be free from any stinginess and no regret. And then also, if you know that other person is really going to, not only is saying I want it, but that the other person is really going to use it properly, then you can give it. Okay. But if you're mentally not ready, because you heard about the importance of giving, so you feel I should give, but deep down you still have that, craving and grasping, and then reluctantly give, then next day, oh, I should not have given it. Then it's not very meaningful. Right? So therefore, as this question was asked by this young lady, you need to know how to give, when to give. Giving does not mean that you just give everything without thinking, right? So think carefully. Yeah.
Gisela, and the third question from Tatiana, why do we need to take initiations, to receive initiations and empowerments, and how many shall we receive?
It is like asking, why do we empower a president or prime minister? Right? For example, when you empower somebody and give the designation president and prime minister, you can find the difference. If today he is not prime minister, the next day he is recognized and he is initiated and empowered and given the designation as prime minister. Within these 2 days, you can see the differences in power. In terms of his actual quality, overnight, there may not be such upsurge of, experience and quality, but it's because of the power, empowerment, and the recognition that is given. The next day, when he has this recognition of being a prime minister, he's very, very powerful. So it's something like that. So the tantric master gives that empowerment especially when the students are qualified to practice certain things, right? So therefore, that is the general meaning. But you should see whether you can receive that initiation and whether you can do the practice. Not just rush for initiation without doing any practice. I mean, as you rightly mentioned, there are so many initiations. You don't have to get all the initiations if you're unable to practice. Or at least when you receive the initiation, at least the minimum qualities you should have unflinching faith. That must be there. If that is there, okay, then you may not be able to practice much. At least you have that unflinching faith, then that at least serves some purpose. But then there are others who just receive all the initiations for the sake of counting. I received 25 chakras, one of them counting, things like that. And don't do the practice, which is not useful.
Thank you very much.
Once His Holiness the Dalai Lama told me that these days, after having received the initiation, then regarding the commitment means basically reciting some prayers, right? We have no time to think what is about the meaning, or we don't bother to know the meaning. Just fulfilling the commitment means reciting that prayer. And His Holiness once told me, it looks like that in the long time in the past, there was nothing written. The master gives the initiation and then explains the meaning to visualize and think about certain things. And the student does that. And then gradually when things started degenerating, then the students are unable to remember everything. So they wrote down something. But at least in those days, the sadhana or whatever is written down is short. Then gradually when people's practice, become more kind of declined, then even the meaning of that short version is also not able to remember. So they write long. So nowadays we have very, very long sadhanas. So in fulfilling the commitment, we just spend so much time reciting that long sadhana, not knowing anything about the meaning. So therefore we should really know the meaning. If you're not able to recite everything, at least know the meaning, like the practice of bodhicitta and shunyata and things like that. Okay.
So Shla, we have Igor now to ask question.
Mm.
Yeah. Igor, I've sent you a mute request. Yeah.
Yes. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Tashdele Geshe Lhakdor, Kanti Shuahin. So my question is, you mentioned that from 5 perfections, there is no, from 5 Rupakaya, it develops Rupakaya.
Yeah.
And from wisdom is Dharmakaya.
Yeah.
Which implies union of method and wisdom.
Yes.
It's a sutric approach.
Yeah.
And in a tantric approach, it's inseparability of method and wisdom. So could you please explain the distinction between union of method and wisdom and inseparability of method and wisdom with regard to Rupakaya, Dharmakaya?
Inseparability in tantric practice means when you, for example, when you visualize yourself as being transformed into a deity, okay, that visualization as a deity is the cause for actualizing the Rupakaya. Okay, and then you see that deity itself as having no inherent existence. That is the cause for actualizing the truth body, Dharmakaya. Okay, so therefore this deity body that you have visualized itself having that entity of having no inherent existence. So in that same practice of the deity and its nature, you practice both the unity of method and wisdom. Okay? Yeah.
Yes, you are very clear. Selpo Hakoson, Tukchenang, Katinche, Kusula Tukche Apunang.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you, Igor. Now we have someone joining through an iPad. So I'm going to ask that person to please unmute. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, hello. Good evening, everyone. So could you tell me if it's possible for us to will the kind of death we want?
Will the kind of the death you want?
Yeah, suppose I want to die in a certain manner. Can I work towards it?
Yes, of course. But that will need a lot of hard work. In fact, when we are talking about Dharma practice, we are talking about, dying in the way that we want.
Yes.
The whole process is for the sake of dying in the way we want. Now that means when we die, we want that the mind is not disturbed. We want that the mind is not disturbed by anger, attachment, jealousy, and so forth. We want to die peacefully, concentrating on the virtuous practice of the love, compassion, and things like that. So that's what we want. So to die in that way, we need constant practice, because the mind is very elusive. You know, if you didn't do this practice for a long time and your mind is not habituated in it, then at the time of death, you know, you have extra anxiety and fear. It may be not easy to recall all those practices. You see, if you're somebody who has always visualized like that, then it will come automatically.
So does meditation help?
Of
Does
course,
it help?
yeah, meditation basically means not sitting in a corner,
Mm.
but meditation basically means getting habituated with all these practices that I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's meditation. So meditation means paying attention to all these needed practices.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Geshe. We are ever so grateful to you.
Mm.
And that was our last question for this session today, Geshe. So we end the session here, and we request you to please end the session with the prayer.
Mm.
Thank you.
Kyunje Margo Gundo Gara, Tosan Jeje Ula Jen, Tuje Jinjen Dolasi, Jere Sigla Sowa, de Omane Peme Hong, Omane Peme Hong, Omane Peme Hong, Omane Peme. Omane Peme, 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 Omane Peme. Omane Peme, 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 Omane Peme. Omane peme, 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 omane peme. Omane peme, 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 omane peme. Omane peme, omane peme, omane peme, omane peme, omane peme, omane peme, omane peme. Omane peme, 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 omane peme. Omane peme, 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 omane peme. Omane peme, 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 omane peme. Omane peme, omane peme, omane peme, omane peme, omane peme, omane peme, omane peme. Omane peme, 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 through the practice of this recitation, may I actualize the state of Avalokiteshvara, and may all sentient beings actualize the state of Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion. Thank you.
Chichanan, Geshe, thank you so much. See you next week. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.